What do a former beauty queen, a small-town mayor, and a national political sensation have in common? They all describe Sarah Palin, a name that once dominated headlines and stirred debates across the country. But today, her name is rarely mentioned in the same light. What happened to the bold and fearless governor of Alaska who shook up the 2008 presidential race and changed the Republican Party forever? Did she fade away quietly, or is there more to her story than we realize? Stick around because, by the end of this video, you'll know not only what Sarah Palin is doing in 2024, but also how her influence still lingers in American politics, and you might be surprised by what you learn. Sarah Palin's story begins in the rugged wilderness of Alaska, where resilience and determination are part of everyday life. Born in 1964 in Sandpoint, Idaho, her family moved to Alaska when she was still a child. Growing up in the small town of Wasilla, she embraced the challenges of outdoor living, which shaped her grit and strong-willed personality. Palin was a standout from the start. She excelled in sports, especially basketball, earning the nickname Sarah Barracuda for her tenacity on the court. After high school, she attended several colleges before earning her degree in communications from the University of Idaho. This foundation set her up for her initial career as a sports reporter, where her charm and confidence shone. But reporting wasn't enough for someone as ambitious as Palin. She quickly turned her attention to politics, starting small but with big aspirations. In 1992, she won a seat on the Wasilla City Council, where she became known for championing fiscal responsibility. Just a few years later, she became the mayor of Wasilla, where she gained a reputation for shaking things up. Her time as mayor wasn't without controversy. She was bold, decisive, and unapologetically herself, qualities that would define her rise to fame. And here's the twist: Sarah Palin didn't just want to serve her hometown, she wanted to lead Alaska. Her decision to run for governor was the moment where her story truly took off. But what drove her to take that leap? And how did her time as governor set the stage for the national spotlight that would follow? Stay tuned, because the next chapter in her life is where things get even more fascinating. By 2006, Sarah Palin had already made a name for herself in Alaskan politics, but her bold decision to run for governor marked a turning point. Despite being up against seasoned politicians, Palin's campaign centered on a powerful promise to clean up corruption and bring ethical leadership to Alaska's government. This message resonated with voters, and in a stunning upset, she became the youngest person and the first woman to hold the office of governor in Alaska's history. Her time as governor was nothing short of eventful. Palin quickly made waves by taking on the political establishment, even within her own party. She earned praise for pushing through ethics reforms that forced transparency among government officials, proving she wasn't afraid to ruffle feathers. But perhaps her most notable achievement was how she managed Alaska's oil wealth. By negotiating a better deal with oil companies, she ensured more of the state's natural resource revenue went directly to its citizens, boosting her popularity. However, her governorship wasn't without controversy. The Troopergate scandal, where she was accused of using her position to settle personal grievances, sparked national attention. Critics questioned her judgment, while supporters saw it as another example of Palin fearlessly standing her ground. But just as Palin seemed to settle into her role as governor, her life took an unexpected turn. A phone call from a U.S. senator in 2008 would catapult her onto the national stage in a way few could have predicted. What followed was a whirlwind of applause, scrutiny, and controversy that would forever change how the world saw Sarah Palin. Keep watching, because the story of her vice presidential campaign and its impact is one you don't want to miss. In 2008, Sarah Palin went from being a well-liked governor in Alaska to a household name across America. When Senator John McCain selected her as his running mate in the presidential election, it was a move that shocked political analysts and electrified the Republican base. Palin's charisma, sharp rhetoric, and relatability made her an instant sensation. She was seen as a fresh face in politics, a mother of 5 from Alaska, who could connect with everyday Americans. Her vice presidential nomination was historic. She became the first Republican woman ever to run for vice president, adding excitement and unpredictability to the McCain campaign. Her fiery speeches energized conservative voters, with her now famous hockey mom quip and the line about lipstick on a pig capturing national attention. However, Palin's rise wasn't without its challenges. While she thrived on the campaign trail, she faced intense scrutiny from the media, which dissected everything from her interviews to her wardrobe. The infamous interview with Katie Couric, where she stumbled on basic foreign policy questions, became a defining moment. Critics labeled her unprepared, but her supporters argued that the media's treatment of her was unfair and overly harsh. Despite these moments, Palin's influence on the campaign was undeniable. She rallied a new wave of conservative voters and laid the groundwork for the Tea Party movement that would reshape the Republican Party in the years to come. The campaign ended with a loss for McCain and Palin, but her story didn't stop there. Instead of fading into the background, she stepped into a new phase of her career that was just as controversial and unpredictable as her time in politics. But what came next? How did she transition from politics to pop culture, and what impact did that have on her legacy? Stay tuned, because the next chapter of Sarah Palin's life is where her influence takes a surprising turn. After the 2008 election loss, many expected Sarah Palin to quietly return to Alaska and resume her political career. Instead, she surprised everyone by resigning as governor in 2009, citing the overwhelming distractions of ethics investigations and media scrutiny. This decision sparked intense debate. Was she abandoning her responsibilities, or was it a strategic move to reinvent herself? Palin didn't just leave politics, she shifted into a role that blended politics, media, and celebrity. She became a sought-after commentator for major news networks, where her sharp takes on national issues resonated with conservative audiences. Her influence extended beyond politics as she launched her own reality TV show, Sarah Palin's Alaska, which showcased her adventurous spirit and her love for the outdoors. It was a move that solidified her as not just a politician but a cultural icon. At the same time, Palin maintained her political relevance by endorsing candidates who aligned with her values. Her endorsements carried significant weight in Republican primaries, helping to shape the direction of the party. She became a kingmaker for up-and-coming conservative leaders, proving that even outside of office, her voice still mattered. However, her post-election career wasn't without controversy. From polarizing speeches to social media feuds, Palin often found herself at the center of debates. Critics questioned her substance, while her supporters admired her authenticity and refusal to conform to political norms. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. While many saw her as a polarizing figure, she paved the way for a new generation of outsider candidates who challenged the status quo. Her mix of charisma, populism, and media savvy became a blueprint for modern political campaigns. So, where does Sarah Palin stand today? What has she been doing in recent years, and how has her role evolved in 2024? In the next section, we'll explore the controversies that have shaped her public image and the legacy she leaves behind. Stay with us, you'll want to hear how her influence is still felt in ways you might not expect. Sarah Palin's career has been as much about headlines as it has been about politics. From her earliest days in the national spotlight, controversies seemed to follow her everywhere. One of the most talked about scandals was Troopergate, a case where she was accused of abusing her power as governor to settle a personal dispute involving her ex-brother-in-law. Though she denied any wrongdoing, the incident became a lightning rod for criticism and gave her opponents plenty of ammunition. Beyond politics, Palin's personal life was frequently dragged into the public eye. The media's intense focus on her family, particularly the pregnancy of her teenage daughter during the 2008 campaign, sparked debates about privacy, sexism, and how women in politics are treated. While some saw her as a symbol of resilience in the face of relentless scrutiny, others criticized her for using her family to shape her public persona. Palin's portrayal in popular culture further complicated her image. From comedy sketches on Saturday Night Live to countless parodies, she became a cultural phenomenon. While some of these portrayals were lighthearted, others bordered on harsh ridicule, reducing her to a caricature that overshadowed her actual political contributions. And yet, despite the controversies and criticism, Palin never shied away from the spotlight. She leaned into her reputation as a maverick who refused to play by traditional rules. For her supporters, this made her relatable and authentic. For her detractors, it reinforced perceptions of her as divisive and unprepared. But here's the real question: did these controversies overshadow her accomplishments, or do they add to the complexity of her legacy? In our next section, we'll look at how Palin's influence reshaped American politics and set the stage for the rise of outsider candidates in a way no one could have predicted. Keep watching, you'll see how Sarah Palin's story is bigger than just one person. Sarah Palin's impact on American politics goes far beyond her time in office or her headline-grabbing controversies. Love her or hate her, there's no denying that she fundamentally changed the political landscape. Palin's 2008 campaign introduced a new kind of political figure, someone who could connect with voters through relatability and personal storytelling rather than traditional policy expertise. Her down-to-earth style and folksy phrases resonated with a base that felt disconnected from Washington insiders. One of Palin's most significant contributions was her role in paving the way for the Tea Party movement. She became its unofficial face, energizing a wave of conservative grassroots activism that would reshape the Republican Party. Many of the themes she championed anti-establishment rhetoric, a focus on American exceptionalism, and a willingness to challenge the media became cornerstones of modern conservative politics. Her influence didn't stop with her policies or speeches. She set the stage for outsider candidates who used charisma, media savvy, and unconventional methods to bypass traditional political norms. Figures like Donald Trump owe part of their rise to the political playbook Palin helped write. But her legacy is also polarizing. For some, she represents a champion of the average American, someone who stood up to elites and fought for values she believed in. For others, she symbolizes the rise of hyper-partisan politics and the blurred line between political leadership and celebrity culture. In 2024, Sarah Palin's fingerprints are still visible in the political strategies we see today. Whether through her endorsements, her speeches, or her enduring appeal to a certain segment of voters, she remains a figure whose legacy continues to spark debate. What about the personal side of her story? How has Sarah Palin navigated her private life amidst the public chaos, and what is she focused on today? Stick around, because in the final section, we'll reveal where she is now and how her story has evolved in the present day. While Sarah Palin's political and media career has been a whirlwind, her personal life has always been a cornerstone of her identity. A devoted mother of 5, Palin often emphasized her family values as a key part of her public image. Over the years, however, her family has faced its fair share of public scrutiny, from tabloid headlines to deeply personal challenges. Despite this, Palin has remained fiercely protective of her loved ones, showcasing the same determination in her personal life that defined her political career. In 2024, Palin continues to live in Alaska, where she has embraced a quieter but still impactful life. She has stayed active in politics, occasionally endorsing candidates and commenting on national issues. But she's also shifted focus to spending more time with her family and pursuing projects closer to her roots. Reports suggest she's been working on memoir-style writings that reflect on her life, career, and faith. Palin's faith has always been a guiding force for her. Throughout her public and private challenges, she's spoken openly about relying on her beliefs to stay grounded. Today, that faith continues to shape her perspective and priorities as she balances her past fame with a more private lifestyle. But here's the question that lingers: is Sarah Palin content to remain in the background, or could she return to the spotlight in a new way? Her supporters believe she still has the charisma and influence to make an impact, while others see her as a symbol of a bygone era. As her story stands now, Sarah Palin remains a fascinating figure who's hard to categorize. Her legacy is a blend of triumph, controversy, and resilience, qualities that continue to inspire debates about her place in history. Sarah Palin's life and career have been nothing short of extraordinary, filled with highs, lows, and moments that reshaped American politics. Whether you see her as a trailblazer or polarizing figure, her influence is undeniable. Now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think is Sarah Palin's most significant contribution to politics and culture? And do you believe she still has a role to play in shaping the future? Let us know your thoughts. And if this story kept you hooked, share it with someone who'd love to revisit this fascinating chapter of political history. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious about the stories that continue to shape our world.